Welcome to the chilling world of spooky Airbnb experiences. Here we delve deep into the real horror stories of travelers who dared to venture into the unknown. We unravel the tales of 3 distinct Airbnb stays that turned from exciting adventures into terrifying nightmares. These are not your average ghost stories, but real experiences of real people which raise questions about the safety of such popular platforms. Our first story revolves around a majestic old mansion, a place that held a haunting charm for our guest. The host, a seemingly pleasant old man, was quite welcoming, but the mansion itself was draped in an eerie silence. The initial excitement of the guest soon turned into a feeling of unease as they stepped into the mansion and took in the Gothic architecture and the ominous portraits hanging on the walls. As the guests settled in, they couldn't shake off the odd feeling that they were being watched. The mansion was filled with unusual occurrences. Strange noises echoed through the hallways, lights flickered without reason, and objects moved of their own accord. The guest, initially dismissive, started to question the normality of these events. The mansion had a past, a haunted history that the guest was oblivious to. It was only after a few terrifying encounters with the paranormal that the guest decided to dig into the mansion's past. What they discovered was a chilling tale of death and despair, a tale that was still very much alive within the mansion's walls. These encounters were far from just spooky incidents. They were terrifying, real, and borderline dangerous. The guest was forced to make a decision that was governed by fear and the will to survive. They decided to leave the mansion, cutting their stay short. This decision sparked a reflection on their entire ordeal, leading them to question the safety and authenticity of Airbnb stays. Every story has its unique elements, but there are common threads that tie these 3 Airbnb horror tales together. Each location, at first glance, appeared to be a perfect getaway, only to reveal a darker, more sinister side. The hosts, seemingly ordinary, were often absent or dismissive of the strange occurrences. The guests were initially dismissive of the odd happenings, attributing them to unfamiliar surroundings or overactive imaginations. As the experiences escalated, they were forced to confront the reality of their situations. The safety and risks associated with Airbnb rentals have long been topics of discussion. While Airbnb has policies in place to protect both hosts and guests, these stories show that not all risks can be mitigated. The unknown history of a property, the potential for paranormal activity, and the unpredictability of experiences all add an element of risk that is often overlooked. In each of these horror stories, Airbnb played a significant role. The platform provided the opportunity for these guests to book their stays, unknowingly stepping into situations they were unprepared for. While Airbnb is not directly responsible for the paranormal activities, their platform facilitated these eerie encounters. Following their terrifying experiences, each guest had to deal with the aftermath in their own way. Some sought therapy to deal with the trauma, others shared their stories to warn potential guests of the dangers they faced. All of them, however, reported being more cautious and skeptical when booking future Airbnb stays. For potential Airbnb guests, these stories serve as a reminder to carefully research and vet properties before booking. Reading reviews, asking the host about the property's history, and trusting your instincts can go a long way in preventing such experiences. While these stories are certainly outliers, they underscore the importance of caution and due diligence when using Airbnb. In a quaint town nestled between rolling hills and a hauntingly beautiful forest, stood an elegant mansion, a popular Airbnb destination. The mansion was owned by a charming elderly couple who had a taste for antiques and history. The mansion, with its vintage charm, creaky wooden floors, and antique decor, had an eerie feel to it. The host's love for history and the bizarre collection of artifacts from different eras added an uncanny layer to the place. Guests arriving at the mansion were usually taken aback by its grandeur and the eerie calm that surrounded it. The mansion, with its sprawling gardens, countless rooms, and intriguing decor, was a sight to behold. However, the beauty of the mansion was often overshadowed by an unsettling feeling that one could not shake off. The silence was too profound, the antiquities a bit too eccentric, and the host's stories about the mansion's past a little too dark. As the guests settled into the mansion, they began to notice strange occurrences. Whispers in the wind, sudden drops in temperature, unexplained noises, doors creaking open, and lights flickering without any apparent reason. However, it was the feeling of being watched, an unseen presence that made the guest's skin crawl. The mansion seemed to have a life of its own, a life that was interwoven with its dark past. Digging a little deeper into the mansion's history, the guests discovered chilling tales of the mansion's past occupants. Stories of tragic deaths, unsolved mysteries, and ghost sightings were part of the mansion's folklore. The mansion's chilling past seemed to have left an indelible mark on it, a mark that was felt by its current residents. The mansion's haunted history was no longer a thing of the past, but a living reality for its guests. The paranormal encounters in the mansion were terrifying, to say the least. Guests reported seeing apparitions, hearing disembodied voices, and even feeling a ghostly touch. The encounters were so bone-chilling and real that they could not be brushed off as mere hallucinations or figments of the imagination. The terror was palpable, and the decision to leave the mansion was inevitable. The mansion's charm had turned into a nightmare they wished to forget. As the guests stepped foot into the grand mansion, the air was heavy with an eerie stillness. Antique portraits stared blankly from the walls, and a cold draft swept through the hallways. The host was pleasant, but there was an unspoken tension that lingered in her eyes. The mansion was a hauntingly beautiful paradox, a mix of glamour from a bygone era and an inexplicable sense of dread. As the night progressed, unexplained occurrences began to shake their skepticism. They heard footsteps echoing in the deserted corridors and distant voices whispering unintelligible words. Doors would creak open on their own, and the scent of old perfume would waft through the rooms, sending chills down their spines. Digging into the history of the mansion, they discovered a dark past. The mansion was once home to a wealthy family who met a tragic fate. The guests began to realize that they were not the only inhabitants of the mansion. They were sharing their space with entities from the past, stuck in their timeline, forever haunting the mansion. The encounters with the paranormal escalated into a terrifying climax. One night, they woke up to a spectral figure standing at the foot of the bed. The apparition resembled the lady of the mansion from the old portraits, her eyes filled with sorrow. It was a chilling sight that froze them with fear, etched into their minds forever. The encounter with the ghostly figure was the final straw. The guests decided to leave the mansion, unable to bear the haunting presence any longer. They left with heavy hearts. Their dream vacation turned into a nightmare. The once beautiful mansion now stood as a chilling reminder of the terror they had experienced. The eerie atmosphere of the cabin was only the beginning of a series of unsettling events. Whispers in the wind, faint knocks on the door in the dead of night, and the inexplicable flickering of lights instilled an overwhelming sense of dread. The guests were uneasy, their peace disturbed by the cabin's strange occurrences. Their fears escalated when they encountered an entity in the cabin, an unwelcome guest that wasn't part of their vacation plan. It was a shadowy figure, seen from the corner of their eyes, disappearing when looked at directly. The entity seemed to be playing with them, a game they didn't want any part in. The night was the worst. The disturbing noises grew louder, the temperature dropped suddenly, and they felt an ominous presence around them. It was as if the cabin itself was alive, breathing down their necks. Sleep was impossible, and each passing minute was filled with terror. Driven by fear, they decided to leave the cabin. It was a unanimous decision, fueled by the desire to escape the unnerving experience. The cabin, once a symbol of a peaceful getaway, had become a nightmarish trap they were desperate to escape from. Reflecting on their experience, the guests were both terrified and baffled. How could a seemingly ordinary cabin hold such a disturbing secret? The experience had scarred them, leaving them wary of their future travel plans. Despite the horror, they understood the importance of sharing their story, to warn others of the potential dangers lurking in seemingly idyllic vacation rentals. The moment they stepped into the city loft, the guests could sense an ominous aura. The loft, though elegantly decorated, had a peculiar coldness to it. Despite the modern amenities, they couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. The loft's gloomy corners and the eerie silence that fell at night only added to their unease. Their stay in the loft was marked by unsettling experiences. Unexplained noises echoed at odd hours, objects moved inexplicably, and the lights flickered without reason. An icy chill pervaded the loft, and they often felt an invisible presence brushing past them. Sleep was elusive, and the nights were filled with fear and anticipation. Things took a turn for the worse when they delved into the loft's dark past. The loft was located in a building that was once a notorious prison. Stories of brutal crimes and vengeful spirits associated with the building's history sent chills down their spine. The discovery made the eerie occurrences in the loft seem even more menacing. One evening, they had a terrifying encounter with a ghostly figure. They reported seeing a transparent figure gliding across the room, its hollow eyes staring back at them. The figure disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving them in a state of shock and terror. The encounter was the final straw that confirmed the loft's haunted status. Fear took over, and they decided to leave the loft. The prospect of spending another night in the haunted loft was unbearable. They hastily packed their bags and left, vowing never to return. The guests were visibly shaken as they reflected on their sinister city loft experience, a chilling reminder of the unseen side of Airbnb stays. As we delve deeper into these terrifying tales, there's a common thread that emerges. Each story involves a lack of full disclosure, mysterious occurrences, and an eerie atmosphere that unsettles the guests. These shared factors point towards a pressing issue: the need for a more comprehensive screening process for Airbnb listings. Airbnb has indeed implemented safety measures to ensure guest satisfaction and security. However, these horror stories underscore the need for a more stringent system, especially when dealing with properties that have a murky past. The company should consider incorporating mechanisms to verify the history of spaces before they are listed. The role of Airbnb in these stories is somewhat controversial. While it is the platform that facilitated these experiences, it's also important to remember that Airbnb is merely a medium. The main responsibility lies with the hosts who failed to disclose critical information about their properties. Nevertheless, Airbnb must ensure it provides a safe platform for its users. The aftermath of these experiences is as diverse as the stories themselves. Some guests found it difficult to shake off their experiences, leading to sleepless nights and anxiety. Others took it in stride, using their experiences as cautionary tales to share with fellow travelers. The effects of such encounters underline the importance of mental health support for guests who have had similar experiences. The key to avoiding such experiences is vigilance. Do thorough research before booking an Airbnb. Read reviews, communicate with the host, and ask questions about the property's history. It's crucial to be aware of any potential red flags before committing to a stay. This way, you can ensure your next Airbnb experience is more delightful than dreadful. The unseen side of Airbnb can be a chilling revelation. While most stays are pleasant and uneventful, there are exceptions that can turn into real-life horror stories. These experiences serve as a reminder that not all spaces are as they seem, and sometimes, even the most charming exteriors can conceal a disturbing past. Spooky Airbnb experiences could serve as an eye-opener. It is a poignant reminder of the importance of safety and vigilance, even in seemingly safe spaces like Airbnb rentals. The platform needs to be more proactive in ensuring the security of its guests and in maintaining transparency about the properties listed. In the aftermath of these experiences, the guests had to grapple with their fear and disbelief and the reality of coming face-to-face with the unexplained. It was a traumatic ordeal that left lasting impressions. Dealing with the horror didn't end when they left the property. It was just the beginning of a long journey of understanding and healing. Avoiding such Airbnb experiences is not as simple as it sounds. It requires thorough research, reading reviews, and being skeptical about too good to be true listings. The importance of being an informed guest cannot be overstated. A little diligence can go a long way in ensuring a safe and enjoyable Airbnb experience. In conclusion, while Airbnb provides a unique and often delightful lodging experience, it is crucial to remember the potential risks. Stories like these remind us to prioritize safety and to stay informed. Whether you're an experienced traveler or a first-time Airbnb user, your awareness and preparedness can make all the difference. Have you ever stayed at an Airbnb that sent chills down your spine? Spooky Airbnb experiences. Real Horror Stories invites you to share your own tales of eerie encounters and supernatural sightings. Whether it was a shadowy figure in the hallway or a whisper in the wind, we'd love to hear about your chilling experiences. Making informed decisions when choosing Airbnb can make a significant difference in your experience. It's essential to research the property, read reviews, communicate with the host, and trust your gut feeling. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Your safety and peace of mind should always be prioritized. Airbnb provides a unique opportunity to stay in diverse properties worldwide. However, it's also important to be aware of the potential risks. Always have a backup plan in place, and don't be afraid to leave if you feel uncomfortable. Trust your instincts and remember that a good story is not worth compromising your safety. Research and awareness are key factors when planning an Airbnb stay. Don't ignore red flags such as negative reviews, inadequate communication from the host, or unclear property descriptions. Ensure you have all the information you need to make an informed decision and have a safe, enjoyable stay. Finally, remember that while these stories are thrilling to read, they represent a small fraction of Airbnb experiences. Most stays are free from supernatural encounters and offer an opportunity to explore new places from a local's perspective. Enjoy the thrill of the unknown, but always prioritize safety and comfort over a good scare. As we delve deeper into the eerie world of spooky Airbnb experiences, it's important to remember that these are real horror stories, experienced by real people. While these tales may send shivers down your spine, they also serve as a stark reminder of the potential risks involved in renting a stranger's home. We invite all readers to share their own Airbnb experiences, whether they're hair-raising horror stories or enchanting encounters. Your experiences not only add to our collective knowledge, but also help create a community centered around shared experiences and mutual support. Safe and informed decision-making is crucial when choosing an Airbnb. We encourage all potential guests to do their own research, read reviews, and communicate openly with hosts. Remember, your safety and comfort should always be the top priority. The importance of research and awareness when choosing an Airbnb cannot be overstated. It not only helps to ensure a pleasant stay, but also mitigates potential risks. So before you book your next Airbnb, take the time to dig a little deeper into its history and read all the reviews.